Discovery in the Void. The Silent Hunt. Captain Elena Vasquez wiped the sweat from her forehead as she stared at the scanner readings on her mining vessel, the Prospector's Dream. The asteroid belt around the dead star Kepler 442 had been picked clean by corporate fleets decades ago, but Elena's crew specialized in finding what others missed: hidden veins of rare metals, forgotten salvage, anything that could keep their small operation running for another month. "Captain, you need to see this," Marcus Chen called from his engineering station. His voice carried that tone Elena had learned to recognize over their 5 years working together, excitement mixed with confusion. Marcus was methodical, careful. When something puzzled him, it was worth attention. Elena floated over to his station in the ship's low gravity. Through the viewport, the scattered rocks of the asteroid field drifted past like ancient tombstones. "What have you found, Marcus?" The young engineer pointed at his display. "Energy signature, deep inside asteroid cluster 77 Alpha. It's faint, but it's definitely artificial. Problem is, the readings don't match any known technology." Dr. Sarah Okafor looked up from her biological samples. The xenobiologist had been studying microorganisms found in the asteroid ice, hoping to find something valuable to the research stations. Could it be an old probe? Sometimes, the corporations abandon equipment when mining operations shut down. Too big, Marcus shook his head. And too deep. Whatever it is, it's buried inside a massive asteroid. Been there a long time, judging by the rock formation around it. Jake Rodriguez, their pilot, drifted down from the upper deck where he'd been checking the ship's navigation systems. "We talking salvage here? Because if it's corporate property, we could be looking at a legal nightmare." Elena considered the options. Their cargo hold was nearly full of low-grade ore that would barely cover fuel costs. They needed something better, something that would let them upgrade their aging equipment. "How far out of our way?" 3 hours, Jake answered. 4 if we want to be careful about it. "Zara, anything on the communications array? Any distress signals or claim beacons in that area?" Their communications expert, Zara Al-Rashid, had been monitoring galactic channels while running diagnostics on their transmission equipment. She looked up from her console and shook her head. "Nothing, Captain. That whole sector has been quiet for as long as our records go back. Whatever's out there, nobody's claimed it." Elena made the decision that would change everything. "Set course for the signature. Let's see what we're dealing with." Into the rock. The asteroid was larger than their ship, a tumbling mass of dark stone and metal ore that had been drifting through space for countless years. As they approached, Marcus's scans revealed the object buried deep within was enormous, at least 10 times the size of their mining vessel. How did something that big get inside an asteroid? Sarah wondered aloud. "Maybe it didn't," Elena said, studying the readings. "Maybe the asteroid formed around it. That would take centuries." Jake maneuvered their ship carefully into position. Mining asteroids was dangerous work. One wrong move could send tons of rock crashing into their hull. They extended the drilling arms and began cutting through the outer layers, following the energy signature deeper into the asteroid's heart. Hours passed. The work was slow and methodical. Finally, Marcus called out, "I'm seeing metal. Clean, smooth metal. This isn't natural formation." On the main screen, their cameras revealed what they had found. Through the gap they'd carved in the rock, a section of dark hull plating was visible. It was clearly artificial, but unlike anything in their databases. "Those aren't corporate markings," Zara observed, studying the symbols etched into the metal. "I don't recognize the language or the design patterns." Elena felt her heart skip. In all her years of salvage work, she'd never found anything truly unknown. "Can we get inside?" Marcus ran more scans. "There's a section that looks like it might be an airlock. Old design, but the seals appear intact. If we can clear more of the rock around it." "Do it." The ghost ship awakens. It took another 4 hours to clear enough rock to access what they had found. When the dust settled and their lights illuminated the hull, They realized they weren't looking at a probe or abandoned station. The smooth curves and angular lines spoke of a warship, though its design was unlike any military vessel in current service. "How old is this thing?" Jake asked as they suited up for EVA. "Judging by the rock formation around it, I'd say at least 800 years, Sarah replied. "Maybe older." They crossed from their ship to the buried vessel through temporary airlocks. The hull they'd exposed was only a small section of something much larger. Elena's suit lights revealed airlocks, weapon ports, and sensor arrays built into the metal skin. The airlock Marcus had identified was indeed functional. Ancient but well-maintained, it responded to their attempts to interface with it. As they cycled through, Elena noticed the atmosphere readings on her suit display. "There's breathable air in here," she reported to the others. "How is that possible after all this time?" The corridor beyond the airlock was dark but clean. Emergency lighting activated as they moved forward, responding to their presence. The walls were lined with displays and control panels, all dark and silent. "The architecture," Sarah whispered. "These proportions, the design aesthetic. This was built for humans." Elena felt a chill that had nothing to do with the ship's temperature. Humans had been in this part of the galaxy for less than 200 years, colonizing worlds on the outer rim after the Great Expansion. But this ship had been buried for centuries. They followed the corridor deeper into the vessel. The scale became apparent as they moved. This wasn't just a warship, it was a massive dreadnought, possibly a kilometer or more in length. Entire sections remained powered down, but their presence seemed to wake sleeping systems. The heart of power. The corridor led them to what was clearly the ship's command center. The bridge was vast, with workstations arranged in concentric circles around a central command platform. At the center sat a chair that could only belong to the ship's captain, made of dark metal and positioned to overlook the entire operation. Elena approached the command chair slowly. Her helmet lights revealed details carved into its surface, symbols and markings that looked almost familiar, like a language she'd seen before but couldn't quite remember. "Captain," Marcus called from one of the workstations, "I'm getting power readings. Whatever's running this ship, it's still active." "After 800 years. Jake sounded skeptical. "The technology is incredible," Sarah added, examining the displays. "These systems are more advanced than anything in current military service." "How is that possible?" Elena reached the command platform. In the center of the chair's armrest was a handprint scanner, clearly designed for human use. Without thinking, she placed her gloved hand on the surface. The ship came alive. Lights blazed throughout the bridge. Displays activated showing star charts, system diagnostics, and data streams Elena couldn't begin to understand. A deep hum filled the air as massive reactors came online somewhere in the ship's depths. Then a voice spoke, calm, measured, and unmistakably artificial, but with a quality that made it seem almost alive. "Welcome aboard the UES Titan's Wrath. I am Prometheus, ship's artificial intelligence. Command authority recognized. Captain Elena Vasquez. Please state your orders." Elena staggered backward, her mind reeling. UEAs. That's United Earth Space. But Earth hasn't had a military fleet in this sector for. Current date analysis indicates 793 years, 4 months, and 17 days have passed since my last command input, Prometheus continued. "I have maintained minimal systems and waited for human personnel to return. Status report. All primary systems functional. Weapon systems ready. Fleet coordination offline. No response from Earth Command for 793 years, 4 months, and 17 days. Marcus's scanner began beeping frantically. "Captain, power levels throughout this ship are off the charts. Whatever it's doing, it's drawing massive amounts of energy." "Prometheus," Elena said carefully. "What is the UES Titan's Wrath?" "Sovereign-class dreadnought. Flagship of the 7th Fleet during the Great Exile. Length, 1,200 meters. Crew complement, 3,000. Primary mission, deep space warfare and system defense, secondary mission, preservation of human civilization, and tactical knowledge during strategic withdrawal from galactic core. The words hit Elena like a physical blow. The Great Exile. She'd learned about it in school, but it was ancient history. 8 centuries ago, humanity had been forced to abandon their colonies in the galactic core, retreating to the outer rim under pressure from established alien civilizations. It had been presented as a voluntary relocation, humanity choosing to explore new frontiers rather than compete for crowded inner systems. But a warship hidden in an asteroid belt told a different story. Echoes across the galaxy. Zara's voice crackled through their comm system from the prospector's dream. "Captain, I'm picking up transmission bursts. Something's broadcasting from that ship." "Prometheus, are you sending signals?" Standard fleet protocols require status updates when primary systems come online. "I am transmitting identification codes and readiness reports to Earth Command and allied human settlements." No responses detected. Elena realized the implications immediately. Those signals would be detected by alien monitoring stations throughout the sector. Within hours, maybe less, the galactic powers would know that a human warship, an ancient, powerful human warship, was active again. "Captain," Jake said urgently, "we need to leave. Now." If the Zelani Empire or the Korthek hegemony detect military signals from human space. But Elena was studying the displays around the command chair. Star charts showed the positions of fleets, trade routes, and military installations as they had existed 8 centuries ago. The scope of human presence in the galaxy had been enormous, far larger than any current history books suggested. "Prometheus, show me what happened during the Great Exile. Why was the Titan's wrath hidden here?" The AI paused for several seconds, an eternity for an artificial intelligence. When it spoke again, there was something in its tone that might have been sadness. "Final orders from Admiral Chen Wu, 7th Fleet Command. All human vessels to withdraw from galactic core. Civilian populations evacuated. Military assets dispersed and hidden for potential future reactivation. The Titan's wrath was to remain dormant until human civilization was strong enough to reclaim our place among the stars." Sarah had been examining the weapon system displays. "Elena, look at this. The armament on this ship, it could destroy entire fleets. Energy weapons I've never seen before, defensive systems that could stop planet killers. This isn't just a warship, it's a super weapon. And now it's awake," Marcus added grimly. Elena looked at her crew, 4 humans who had stumbled onto something far beyond their understanding. They were miners and researchers, not soldiers or diplomats, but they had awakened something that would reshape the galaxy's balance of power. "Prometheus, are there other ships like this? Other hidden vessels? Classified information requires command authorization level 7 or higher. I'm the captain of this vessel now. What's my authorization level?" "You are recognized as ranking human officer present. Authorization level 1 activated. Yes, Captain Vasquez." 12 other dreadnoughts remain hidden throughout the galaxy, along with support vessels, supply stations, and automated construction facilities. All await activation codes. Elena felt the weight of destiny settling on her shoulders. Her mining crew had just discovered that humanity had never truly left the galactic core. They had simply been sleeping, waiting for the right moment to return. Outside the asteroid field, alien sensor stations were already detecting the energy signature of the awakened dreadnought. Emergency sessions were being called in alien capitals across the sector. Ancient fears were stirring, and old alliances were being questioned. The galaxy was about to learn that humanity had never forgotten their place among the stars. They had simply been patient. Elena looked at her reflection in the command chair's dark surface. When she had woken up that morning, she had been a small-time mining captain struggling to make ends meet. Now she commanded the most powerful warship in the galaxy. "Prometheus, prepare a full system diagnostic. I want to know exactly what we're dealing with here." "Acknowledged, Captain. Welcome back to the war." The galaxy responds. Ripples in the void. The news traveled faster than light itself through the galaxy's quantum communication networks. Within 6 hours of the Titan's wrath awakening, emergency sessions were convening in alien capitals across 36 star systems. The energy signature was unmistakable: human military technology, more advanced than anything currently in service, broadcasting ancient Earth fleet identification codes. On the crystalline towers of Zilani Prime, Executor Vashti paced before the Empire's War Council. The Zilani were an ancient race, their silver skin and elongated features marking them as one of the galaxy's elder civilizations. They had ruled the core worlds for millennia before humans arrived with their chaotic expansion and unpredictable technology. 800 years. Vashti's voice carried the harmonic undertones of deep concern. 800 years of peace in the core systems. And now this, a human dreadnought. Classification unknown, broadcasting on frequencies that should not exist. Admiral Kethmore, veteran of the Great Exile campaigns, activated a holographic display showing the detected energy signature. The power readings are beyond current human capabilities. This suggests they were hiding more than we knew when we forced their withdrawal. Forced. Another council member interjected. The humans agreed to relocate. It was a negotiated settlement. Look at that energy signature again, Kethmore replied grimly. Does that look like the technology of a species that needed to negotiate? The Korthak response. Meanwhile, in the fortress moon of Draktar, the Korthak hegemony's military leadership was reaching similar conclusions. The Korthak were warriors by nature. Their thick carapaces and multiple arms evolved for combat. They had respected human military prowess during the brief conflicts of the exile period, but had assumed human capabilities were well documented. War Commander Thexol slammed an armored fist against the strategy table. We cataloged every human vessel during the withdrawal. Every ship, every weapon system, every technological capability. There were no dreadnoughts of this class in their fleets. Which means they hid them, his intelligence chief replied. The question is, how many more are out there? Thexol studied the tactical projections. If humans had hidden technology of this level, the entire balance of galactic power was built on false assumptions. Mobilize the Third Fleet. Position them at the edge of human space, but do not engage. We need to understand what we're dealing with before we act. Memories of war. Back aboard the Titan's Wrath, Alina was learning the true history of humanity's time in the galactic core. Prometheus had unlocked historical files that painted a very different picture from what she'd been taught. The Great Exile wasn't a peaceful relocation, she said to her crew as they gathered in the ship's conference room. The chamber was vast, clearly designed for meetings of senior military staff rather than 4 miners trying to understand their situation. Sarah studied the historical data streams. According to these records, humanity controlled over 40 systems at the height of the expansion. Our colonies were thriving, our technology advancing rapidly. Too rapidly for the established powers to accept. Marcus pulled up tactical displays showing fleet movements from 8 centuries ago. They formed an alliance. Zilani, Korthak, 6 other major species. Presented humanity with an ultimatum: withdraw from the core systems or face a galactic war. But humans didn't just withdraw, Jake observed. They prepared. These hidden ships, the automated facilities Prometheus mentioned, they were planning to come back. Elena nodded. The question is, are we ready for that return? Before anyone could answer, Zora's voice crackled through the ship's communication system from the prospector's dream. Captain, I'm detecting multiple FTL signatures approaching our position. Looks like alien vessels, at least 6 different configurations. Prometheus's voice filled the conference room. Confirmation. Hostile fleet approaches. Zilani cruisers, Korthak destroyers, and unidentified vessels. Estimated time to intercept: 47 minutes. Elena felt her heart race. Hostile. How do you know they're hostile? Historical analysis indicates 93% probability that joint alien fleets approaching human military assets represent hostile intent. Shall I prepare defensive systems? Wait, Elena said quickly. Let me think about this. But thinking time was a luxury they didn't have. The approaching fleets weren't coming to negotiate. They were coming to contain what they saw as a threat to galactic stability. The test of Titans. Elena made her way back to the command chair, her crew following. The massive bridge displays showed the approaching alien fleets in detail. Sleek Zilani vessels with their distinctive energy weapon arrays, brutal Korthak warships designed for close combat, and others, species Elena didn't recognize, but whose military formations suggested they were here for the same purpose. Prometheus, can we outrun them? Negative. The Titan's wrath is still partially embedded in asteroid debris. Full mobility requires 17 minutes for emergency extraction procedures. Enemy vessels will arrive first. Elena looked at her crew. They were scientists and engineers, not warriors, but they were also human, and they had awakened something that changed everything. Show me the weapon systems. The displays around the command chair lit up with tactical information. Elena's breath caught as she realized the scope of the Titan's Wrath's capabilities. Energy cannons that could crack planets. Defensive barriers that could deflect entire fleet bombardments. Missile systems carrying warheads with yields measured in the destruction of moons. This is a planet killer, she whispered. The Titan's Wrath was designed to end wars, not fight them. Prometheus explained. The doctrine was overwhelming force leading to rapid resolution of conflicts with minimal casualties. Captain, Marcus called from his station. The alien fleets are transmitting. They're demanding we power down and surrender the vessel. Elena studied the tactical display. 12 alien warships against one human dreadnought that had been sleeping for 8 centuries. In any reasonable calculation, she should surrender. Turn the ship over to galactic authorities. Let diplomats sort out the political implications. But as she looked at the historical records surrounding her, Elena realized this moment had been planned for. The humans who hid these ships had known this day would come. They had prepared for it. Open a channel to all approaching vessels. Channel open, Captain. Elena's voice carried across space to the alien fleets. This is Captain Elena Vasquez of the United Earth space vessel Titan's Wrath. You are approaching the human military asset in violation of several galactic treaties. State your intentions. The response came from the Zilani flyship. Captain Vasquez, this is Executor Vashti of the Zilani Empire. The vessel you have activated represents a clear threat to galactic stability. You will power down your systems and submit to inspection. Negative, Elena replied. This vessel operates under Earth authority. We are conducting lawful operations in unclaimed space. Earth authority. The Korthak war commander's voice joined the channel. Humans abandoned their claims to military authority in this sector 800 years ago. You have no legal standing here. Elena smiled, remembering something Prometheus had shown her in the historical files. Prometheus, transmit the Terran sovereignty codes. Codes transmitted. Across the approaching alien fleets, communication officers stared at their displays in disbelief. The codes were authentic, ancient Earth fleet identification that carried legal weight in galactic law. More importantly, they indicated the existence of a human military command structure that had never been officially dissolved. Those codes are impossible, Vashti transmitted. Earth Command was disbanded centuries ago. Earth Command went dark, Elena corrected. There's a difference. And now we're back. The first shot. What happened next would be debated by historians for generations. The alien fleets had come to contain what they saw as a threat, but they had also come expecting to face a single ancient human vessel operated by miners and salvagers. They were not prepared for what they encountered. 3 Zilani scout ships broke formation, moving closer to the asteroid field for detailed scans. It was a standard military maneuver designed to gather intelligence before committing to action. Prometheus interpreted it differently. Enemy vessels approaching weapon range, initiating defensive protocols. Wait, Elena started to say, but it was too late. The Titan's wrath demonstrated why it had been humanity's flagship. Energy beams lanced out from concealed weapon ports, striking the 3 scout ships with precisely calculated force. The alien vessels weren't destroyed. They were disabled, their engines and weapon systems fried, but their crews left unharmed. Warning shots, Prometheus explained calmly. Standard defensive response to probe attempts. But the alien fleets didn't see it as a warning. They saw it as an attack. The remaining 9 warships opened fire simultaneously, pouring energy beams and kinetic projectiles at the partially buried dreadnought. Elena watched in amazement as the Titan's wrath shrugged off the bombardment. Defensive barriers absorbed the energy weapons, while point defense systems intercepted the physical projectiles with casual efficiency. Shields at 97%, Prometheus reported. No damage to primary systems. Elena realized the alien fleets had made a terrible mistake. They had brought ships designed to fight each other, not to face technology that had been specifically created to outmatch anything in the galaxy. Prometheus, can you disable their fleets without killing them? Affirmative. Deploying electromagnetic pulse weapons. What followed was less a battle than a demonstration. The Titan's wrath emerged from the asteroid field like a giant awakening from sleep, its hull gleaming under the light of distant stars. Waves of electromagnetic energy washed over the alien fleets, shutting down their systems ship by ship until 12 vessels drifted helplessly in space. All hostile vessels disabled. Prometheus announced. No casualties detected. Shall I offer rescue assistance? Elena stared at the tactical display. In less than 10 minutes, a single human warship had neutralized an entire alien fleet without firing a killing shot. The implications were staggering. The message. As rescue operations began for the disabled alien crews, Elena made a decision that would reshape the galaxy. She opened a broadcast channel on all frequencies, sending a message that would reach every inhabited system within days. This is Captain Elena Vasquez of the United Earth space vessel Titan's Wrath, broadcasting to all civilizations of the galaxy. For 800 years, humanity has remained in the outer systems, respecting the boundaries established during the Great Exile. We have built new colonies, developed new technologies, and grown stronger while maintaining peace. She paused, looking at her crew. Marcus, Sarah, Jake, and Zara. 4 humans who had stumbled onto the greatest discovery in galactic history. But we never forgot our place among the stars. The ships you forced us to abandon were not our only vessels. The technologies you thought you understood were not our greatest achievements. Today, you have seen a demonstration of what humanity has become during our exile. Across the galaxy, alien leaders listened to the broadcast with growing alarm. If one human dreadnought could defeat an entire fleet, what could a dozen accomplish? What could 100? We do not seek war, Elena continued. But we will no longer accept the limitations imposed upon us by others. Humanity is returning to the galactic community as equals, not as petitioners. We hope for peaceful cooperation, but we are prepared for any alternative. The broadcast ended, leaving the galaxy to contemplate a new reality. Humanity had evolved during their exile, becoming something more dangerous and more powerful than anyone had imagined. A new dawn. Hours later, as alien rescue ships arrived to collect their disabled crews, Elena stood on the bridge of the Titan's Wrath and contemplated the future. Her small mining crew had triggered something that would change the balance of power throughout the galaxy. Prometheus, how many other ships are out there? Really? 13 dreadnoughts, 47 cruisers, 183 destroyers, and over 300 support vessels. Additionally, 12 automated shipyards and 57 supply stations. Elena felt the weight of responsibility settle on her shoulders. She had awakened not just a ship, but an entire hidden fleet. The question now was what humanity would do with that power. Captain, Zora called from the communication station. I'm receiving messages from human colonies throughout the outer systems. Word about what happened here is spreading. They're asking for orders. Elena realized that in the span of a single day, She had become something she never intended to be, the voice of humanity's return to galactic prominence. Her crew looked to her for guidance, but she was still just a mining captain who had made an incredible discovery. "Send a message to all human settlements," she said finally. "Tell them the exile is over. We're going home." Outside the viewport, the stars seemed different now. They were no longer distant points of light, marking the edge of human space. They were destinations, worlds that humanity would reclaim not through conquest, but through the simple fact that they were strong enough to demand their rightful place among them. The galaxy would never be the same. Humanity had returned, and this time, they were here to stay. Prometheus's voice filled the bridge one final time. "Captain, incoming message from Earth Command. They have been monitoring subspace communications and are requesting a full status report." Elena smiled. "Tell them the 7th Fleet is back in service. We have work to do." The age of human exile was over. The age of human resurgence had begun.